You may be familiar with this word, stenosis, already from some other context. It is often used as a medical word. It is a word that describes a narrowing in something. For example, you might have an artery, and that artery might have a narrowing in it. And that narrowing, that narrowed place is the stenosis, the narrowed section of the artery, perhaps because of cholesterol plaque or something like that, that is built up and has closed off part of the lumen of the artery. And what it means, of course, is that blood flow that is supposed to be flowing through the artery is constricted by the stenosis, and so less blood gets through. And what happens then is whatever is downstream from the stenosis suffers as a result of the narrowing, the constriction in the blood flow. So if, for example, this stenosis is in a coronary artery, then the heart muscle doesn't get as much nourishment from the blood as it should, and so this coronary artery disease might lead to a heart attack. You can also have a stenosis in an esophagus, for example, where you can't swallow very easily because there's a narrowing in the esophagus. Or you could even it could even happen in a nerve when bone or something presses on the nerve and squishes it and narrows it so that nerve impulses have a difficult time getting down, let's say, the spinal cord. And as a result, everything downstream is weakened. And you might have paralysis, numbness, tingling, those kinds of things. Well, I want to apply this concept to a biblical concept, and that is that according to the way Scripture understands it, you and I are supposed to be connected to God by something like an artery. Think of it, if you want, as a kind of an umbilical artery that connects you or me to God, and this flow is designed to allow the life that comes from God to flow into me and keep me alive and keep me strong and keep me connected to God. And the biblical concept is that this is going to be a clean, unrestricted connection between God and me. If for some reason this connection becomes narrowed so that something happens here to restrict the flow, so that there is less possibility that whatever it needs to be communicated between God and me is going to be communicated, because there is a stenosis at this point, a narrowing, then the goodness of God, the love of God, the peace of God, the power of God is somehow going to be restricted, and it's not going to flow through to me like it was designed to, like I need it to. According to Scripture, this stenosis can be the result of sin. It can be the result of guilt. It can be the result of me wanting to separate myself or distance myself from God, an unwillingness to pay attention to God or to be obedient to God. Whatever that might be, this sin problem here creates this stenosis between God and me, and the result is that all the goodness and power and love and grace of God is somehow impeded as it communicates itself to me. The biblical understanding of human weakness is that it is this stenosis between God and me that causes me to have problems, to put it bluntly. That we human beings are in trouble because of the impediment to the grace of God flowing between God and us. Now, some of this stenosis is the result of simply living in a fallen, broken, sinful world. And some of this stenosis is the result of our own unwillingness to be open and obedient to God. But whatever the cause, this is a serious condition, and it requires treatment. And according to the gospel, the New Testament story, the gospel of Jesus Christ, one of the things that Jesus does is to restore the connection, restore the blood flow, you might say, between God and me, so that having removed guilt, having dealt with the problem of sin and the need for forgiveness, excuse the dog, we find then a new connection with God, and we have the ability then to be connected with God in the way that He wants us to be. His grace, His righteousness, His peace, His joy, His love flow into us and enable us to live the kind of life that we really want to live. Now, there still, of course, is a sinful world, and as a result, we still are impeded or broken by the world in which we live and the problems of sin that surround us. But we have at least the opportunity for a different kind of life, and a more fulfilled and human kind of life, as a result of Jesus Christ dealing with this stenosis.